Welcome to Comics League. I'm Jared, and today, for today's video, I figured I would continue a topic that was talking about Nerdette newsstands live stream that was on the last night, where we were talking about Dark Crisis and the way that DC needs a reboot. So I figured, let me do a video that's talking about what I want to see in the next DC reboot, which hopefully is coming soon because the continuity is a mess. But first, I would like to say, like, comment, subscribe. We got a lot of great content coming to you guys. We're going to have a comic book trivia night with a few of the other guests that have been on this show in recent years. Maybe Max, MVP Priestley, Nerdette's Newsstand, maybe Dawson. We'll see who we can get on. And we're going to be doing a lot more Halo content, such as arguing that the Halo show is not as bad as everyone thinks. To give you a little taste, it's basically what a Halo novel feels like, because there will be times when you're reading a Halo novel and there's like chapters without action. And also, if you look at like Forward Unto Dawn, the real action doesn't start until episodes like episode like 5 and 6. I think that's it. So really, I don't know why everyone's so like angry about this. Anyway, going back to what we're talking about. So those of you that know me know that I'm a huge DC fan, like absolute DC. As you can see, most of my office is DC memorabilia. So it pains me to admit whenever DC does something wrong, because trust me, it does happen. So over the past, like I'd say since really Death Metal, DC's continuity has gone nuts. First off, because it had this stupid idea called the Omniverse. I would say get rid of the Omniverse. Just ignore it. Say it doesn't happen. Because you can't say everything matters when a lot of the stuff that matters contradicts the other stuff that matters. You cannot do that. It doesn't make sense if you're trying to make a cohesive superhero universe. Cannot happen. That's the first thing I would do. Wipe out the Omniverse, or it's from now on, and from a publishing standpoint, ignore the Omniverse. Say we're no longer working with the Omniverse. Just say that. That's one of the things I hope happens in the Jeff Johns Flashpoint revisitation. But I realize that it looks like it's going to be more grounded, even though it's dealing with multiverse-like concepts. But we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, that's my first thing. My second thing, eliminate all traces of Bendis Superman. In other words, make it so, put Superman back to the way he was pre-Bendis. Eliminate all traces that Bendis was ever at DC, for that matter. Because ever since he joined DC and he got like a blank check to do whatever he wants, it's been downhill, particularly with Superman in Action Comics. He's added in characters that don't work. He's made Superman act uncharacteristically, Lois Lane act uncharacteristically. He aged up John Kent for some reason, and he, for the cherry on top, revealed Superman's identity to the world and put a target on Smallville, on the Daily Planet. This is what I hate about Bendis. He makes all these big decisions for characters, but doesn't think about the ramifications at all. At all. And if he does, let me put it this way, if he really thought about the ramifications, he would not have done that, because then supervillains could bomb the Daily Planet, could bomb Smallville just to get back at Superman. It's really that simple. And the fact that no one has done that in the books is astounding. But eliminate all vestiges of Superman, of Bendis' Superman. Next, get rid of all vestiges of Tom King on Batman. Because guess what? Tom King is another character that has wholly misunderstood Batman, who's been given too much, what's the word? Too much like freedom with the character, and particularly eliminate all traces of Heroes in Crisis, like completely. Because that way you can have Wally West actually be a hero. Oh, and that's another thing. In the new timeline, stop making Wally West to be a villain. Stop trying to mess with Dick Grayson. Just keep these characters. These characters are popular. Do a poll to find out which one of your characters are popular, and then decide that's who gets the most editorial attention. That's the way they should be doing that. I understand that editorial is very stretched, but really prioritize your Trinity, but prioritize anyone that's on the Justice League, and then the most popular characters from their families. In other words, Nightwing should get increased editorial. Obviously, the Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern. In other words, anyone that you could conceivably make a movie about in the near future, put editorial on that. That's what you should be doing, because that way you can keep them acting consistently in the movies and the comic books, and B, not making some weird decision that makes people go off the character completely. Which, again, this gets back to my frustration and anger with Bendis. It's like, it's ridiculous. So that's the second thing. And another thing I would do is, in the new continuity, stop doing these big events. In other words, what I would do, give us a year of just regular comic events. You can have like some events where like some other characters like show up. Like if you take like Superman Doomed, for example, that was like a relatively small event, the Doomsday part, where you brought in other members of the Justice League, but you also it was majority just a small Superman storyline. That's what I would do. You can have events for like minor characters, like Superman events, Batman events, but keep them small, because what you're doing is you're creating event fatigue. What that means is people are just so tired of having. It's essentially like, take it this way. It's like how for the MCU, all we got were Avengers movies where the world's constantly under attack. That's it. That's all we got in the MCU. Just Avengers 1, Avengers 2, Avengers 22. That's all we got. We didn't get a single we didn't get like small movies, small like grounded storylines for Iron Man, Captain America, harder but Thor, Black Widow. That's what I mean. Stop doing these big events, because when you do these big events over and over and over again, guess what that does? It cheapens the like size and impact of these events, because everyone's like, okay, it's just a dime a dozen, so why should I care? There you go. Second off, stop killing characters to market books. Actually make quality books. Let me put it this way. If killing the Justice League is the best way you can think of to get people to buy your comic books, there is an issue. Which, by the way, I love. Once again, I've said this many times on the show, and I will say this forever. I love how when they announced the death of the Justice League, everyone's like, why should I care? You're just going to bring them back. Then when DC announces that they're going to bring back the Justice League immediately after, everyone's like, oh, really? Why should we care? Because here's the thing. When you keep killing characters and bringing them back to life, guess what that does? Again, it cheapens it. What they could have done, which would actually be kind of cool, is do what Zack Snyder was going to do and essentially kill off one member of the Justice League, but make this be like the event that ends your current continuity and then you reboot. Like you could kill, like Zack Snyder was going to kill Batman, and that would essentially end his continuity of DC storylines. You could end Superman. Don't do Superman because it's been done so many times. You could kill Wonder Woman, but anyway, don't kill off the entire league. Kill one character and then end the continuity, and then do like a Flashpoint hard reboot. I think we need a hard reboot at this time, and that's another thing. And this is an issue that DC ran into in the New 52. If you're going to do a hard reboot, everyone gets a hard reboot. Green Lantern, Batman, everyone. Because the problem with the New 52's reboot is that DC basically didn't commit. Now, what do I mean by that? It's like they somehow tried to condense Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run and all the Batman stories into a 5-year period, saying all this happened in 5 years. It didn't work. Everyone else got a good reboot, but if it sells, it was being kept. And I get the logic of that to a certain degree, but which at this point, it created too much of a convoluted continuity. Like, say, for instance, they were trying to tell me that in the New 52, Blackest Night happened. But when you look at the characters that were pivotal, to Blackest Night, they did not exist in the New 52 continuity. It doesn't work. Stop doing that. Or at least retell those storylines. We're not saying you can't revisit that, but revisit those storylines in your new continuity. That way, maybe you have new characters that could influence it. You could reintroduce those characters, but don't just say, oh yeah, it happened. That's the lazy way to do this. And this gets back into my assertion that modern day comic book writers are creatively bankrupt and lazy. That's my issue with it, because if they were creative enough and if they weren't lazy, they would figure out ways to do what I'm telling you to do. This is the best way to to fix the convoluted DC continuity. That's really where I'm going to stop right now, people. I hope you guys, drop in the comments what you guys think should be in the new DC continuity. If you think they need if they need a reboot, if you think they need a soft reboot versus a hard reboot. A soft reboot is where they stay in the continuity but change a couple of things, like DC Rebirth, or hard continuity where they basically say we're starting from scratch. So tell me if you think they need a hard reboot or a soft reboot. Tell me what you want. Actually, tell me what you would want the new continuity to look like. Would you want what would be the lineup of the Justice League? Who would be like the leader of the Justice League? What storylines would you try and keep in continuity if you could? The point is, drop in the comments. I'd love to see your guys' thought. I try to interact with all you guys on a regular basis. All right, that's gonna be the end of this topic. For the rest of the week, here's the schedule for the week. We're going to talk about the Halo show on Wednesday. I'm going to tell you why I think the show is not as bad as it's being portrayed. In other words, it's getting less credit than it deserves. So that's all I'm going to say there. Because trust me, I could go on for another hour on why I like the Halo show. There are some parts I don't like, but for the most part, I'm enjoying it. And then Friday, we're going to be talking about Green Lantern history, which we'll talk about I know I did a couple of, last year, I think, a video talking about Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, but I'm going to talk about Green Lantern in general, the history of the Corps, the important lanterns. In other words, I'm going to give you an in-universe, lantern discussion. And then what I'm also going to do is if it's popular, I'll do it for the other Lantern Corps. In other words, I'm going to have a history of the Red Lanterns, history of the Star Sapphires, history of the Blue Lanterns. Because I think that'd be really fun to examine, because in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, he significantly expanded that mythos and created basically DC's version of Star Wars. So I really feel like that'll be a really fun topic to discuss. And let me know what you guys would like to see in that series, what specific lanterns you want me to talk about, and then I will cover them on the show. And I will see you in the next video, everyone. Stay heroic.